So I had a client who recently said to me, we're about to be financially free. And I looked at them and I was like, nah, no, you're not. You're nearly going to be mortgage free. And they were like, what's the difference? And I was like, well, you're about to pay off your mortgage, which means you're not going to have these mortgage repayments coming out each fortnight. So your cash flow is improving. You've got a box to live in with no costs. You've still got rates and insurance and maintenance. But if you were to stop working right now, there's no income coming from anywhere.
Welcome to another midweek episode of Checks and Balances brought to you by Partners Life. I'm Michael Vincent. This is James Blair. And today, one of you wrote in and said, hey, I've got some KiwiSaver, but I don't think I'm doing well enough. So we're going to deep dive into it.
So, Mike, we've got a question from a listener. I think it came from the YouTube channel. Is that right, Ravi? So, once again, if you haven't subscribed already, you're missing out on a hell of a time. So, make sure to do that. So, we've got a question. It's quite a good question because it leans very much into a lot of the things we talk about. So, Mike, what did the person ask?
So, this person said, I am 49 and way ahead of the average KiwiSaver amount. It's a good start. But way behind the amount required to reach my $1 million by age 65. My retirement savings goal is to reach $1 million by 65. I aim to be mortgage free by the time I'm 53. Then says you have to live very frugal in between now and then to achieve that. And I don't have any other debts. Once I'm mortgage free, I want to invest hard until I'm 65 while being generous to others. I've done it hard for most of my life and I don't want to live like that in retirement. So they've got an idea. They've got a goal. How are they going to get there? I think is the piece we might be missing.
The only piece is that I'm just looking at it again. It's not a question, is it? It's a statement of what I'm doing.
Maybe he's just trying to, be like, hey, look where I am.
Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of flex. There's a little bit, you can tell a little bit around values when it's talking about I've done it hard my whole life.
Been generous to others.
Yeah. So it is quite interesting. So let's break this down and kind of go, what sizzle have we got to add to this barbecue?
Okay. Oh, I've never heard that before.
So where should we start? I think the first thing is I'm well ahead of the average KiwiSaver balance is an interesting point, but completely irrelevant.
Yeah.
No brownie points for you because if you were just dependent on your KiwiSaver to retire, everybody is utterly screwed. I think the average KiwiSaver balance is like $30,000 or something like that. And if you want an income of $50,000 a year in retirement, excluding New Zealand superannuation, which we can talk about another day or we've spoken about a lot in the past, you probably need $1 million before you even start. So if you're at 40,000, the average is 30,000.
You got a lot of rock and roll to do.
Yeah, it's not really a big deal. What else do you see in this comment, Mike?
Yeah, so look, it basically just said I've got a house that I'm paying off and I'm going to be mortgage free. There's no mention there of any type of investment property or trying to use anything outside of KiwiSaver to achieve the goal.
Yeah, and the $1 million mark as well. The other question is, why have we picked $1 million? Is $1 million just a nice round number that makes you feel rich? Or has it actually got some kind of substance behind it? And this is probably when we're starting to lean towards the financial planning process. So I had a client who recently said to me, we're about to be financially free. And I looked at them and I was like, nah, no, you're not. You're nearly going to be mortgage free. And they were like, what's the difference? And I was like, well, you're about to pay off your mortgage, which means you're not going to have these mortgage repayments coming out each fortnight. So your cash flow is improving. You've got a box to live in with no costs. You've still got rates and insurance and maintenance. But if you were to stop working right now, there's no income coming from anywhere. So you've got to think about it as, you've got your salary at the moment. Think about it as a tap, right? You've got, there's a steady stream of income coming through each fortnight you're getting paid that allows you to pay your mortgage, live a certain lifestyle, go on the odd holiday, plan for emergencies. But then if you turn this tap off because you're financially free, but all is mortgage free, you're not financially free because you're just going to be sitting in an empty box, Mike. You're not going to have anything that you can work with. So once you are mortgage free, or really even before you're mortgage free, which maybe we'll talk about how that works in a second, you need to start to build assets outside of your home to, over time start to pay you a passive income. So that looks like investment property. That looks like managed funds. That looks like KiwiSaver. Maybe you own some sort of business. And the idea, if you're consistent over time, that will build up an income stream, which you can turn the tap off over here, turn the passive income tab on, and each fortnight you'll get paid the same from your assets to maintain a lifestyle. And then you're financially free. Once you're debt free, you've just got a box to live in. There's no income.
Yeah, I think that's a common misconception. Kiwis are so focused on their house that they live in and paying it off, and that is the big goal. It doesn't actually provide you with anything. There's no income that's coming in off the back of it.
And I get that's depressing, right? Like, you've been paying a mortgage for 30 years and you deserve to have some fun. You deserve to have a break. You've worked hard to get mortgage free, and it's 100% an accomplishment. The only problem is the job's not done.
So let's look at this, James. Charity starts at home. Old Mr. Generous over here wanting to give all his wealth away to other people. Now, I say that as a little bit of a joke. However, we often run into clients who want to give to their kids, give to the grandkids, put them all through university, buy them a house, give them the deposit. At some point, you've got to look at your plan and your lifestyle and think, is this sustainable, or am I doing this to the detriment of myself? And it's an argument we often lose because people love their kids, they love their grandkids, so they want to provide, but it really can impact your lifestyle.
And I would be, probably say 80% of my clients want to help their kids in some fashion, and probably about 50% of them aren't in the position to be able to do that. They have to prioritize themselves. Last stat, I would lose that at least 80% of the time because I am talking from a logical place. The client, the Kiwi, is thinking about it from an emotional place. I want to look after my family. I want to give them a head start. I didn't get these things, so I want to do them for them. But sometimes you help them and it's a detriment to your own retirement, right?
Yeah. And again, you're talking with the head or with the heart, right? And often the heart wins on that one.
Yeah. However, on the flip side, everything is relative. So if you've built up a big enough asset base, depending on what your retirement looks like, if there's money left over, I like to think about bucketing money, right? So the first priority is that you've got enough assets to be able to maintain your lifestyle through retirement. Then you have to prioritize. So maybe you're helping other people. Maybe you're having more discretionary expenses. Maybe there's some philanthropic endeavors you want to, pursue, whatever it might be. But you need to prioritize those and understand how much you need for each of them.
Yep, 100%.
Before we move on, we talk all the time about planning and growing our wealth, but protecting that wealth is just as important. That's why having the right insurance in place can help when life goes unexpectedly.
And that's why this episode is brought to you by Partners Life, a New Zealand operated award-winning insurance provider with over 300,000 Kiwis insured and 89% of claims paid.
Partners Life understand that having some insurance is better than having no insurance. They have flexible and personalized solutions for any budget or situation.
Check out their website in our show notes below.
So, Mike, I think the other piece is I read this as it's quite linear. I pay off my mortgage, then I start to contribute to investments. The obvious gap I see in here is there might be a missed opportunity around investment property.
Yeah, so if this person is focusing on paying down their mortgage on their owner-occupied property, really they're going to start to build some equity over time. And we don't know what their income is, but I assume if they're making pretty good headway on their on their mortgage, that it's got to be a reasonable amount. Is that they can actually use that equity to go out and buy an investment property. Now, again, the focus of this statement or comment is about being mortgage free. But once you start to put in play an investment property and an owner-occupied mortgage, we've really got good debt versus bad debt, right? And that investment property is good debt. You are making money off of that debt because you are, what are we doing? Using leverage to grow the size of the asset. And that's what's going to get you that return. The owner-occupied debt, yep, you should still focus on paying that down. Hammer that as quickly as you can. But you don't have to do it in a linear fashion. You can do these things at the same time. Yep, you've got to have a plan. You've got to check the numbers. You've got to look at the interest rates and see, okay, what am I topping it up? Can I actually afford this on a day-to-day basis? But you don't need to wait. The earlier you do it, the more asset you'll have over a longer period of time, more return.
The thing that I see some people struggling to do is differentiating good debt and bad debt.
Yeah.
And just looking at their online banking and go, I've got another $500,000 or $1 million of debt. How do you suggest they mentally deal with the separation of the two?
Malt liquor, whiskey. No, yeah, it's all about just really having a plan. It's so easy to look at debt in different ways if you have a plan, right? If you just go out and buy an investment property because everybody has an investment property, well, you may look at that and go, I don't really know what the hell I'm doing here. This is horrible debt. I feel like I'm drowning. But if you sit down with someone and I'm not trying to sell you a financial plan, But what I'm saying is, if you have a plan that says, if I do take this action at this time and take on this debt, and I'm going to get this outcome at the end of it, well, hey, all of a sudden you look at that and go, I love that debt.
Yeah.
That is good debt. That's debt that means I get to retire early. That negative $500,000 is going to net me $1 million in retirement.
Yeah, and it's what's the purpose behind it, right? I was talking to somebody yesterday, and they were like, "Oh, I've got some Bitcoin, and it's gone up a lot, which is great. My only problem is all of my investments are based on my friends telling me what they think I should do, and now I have no idea.
Sleep at night.
Yeah, and now I have no idea what to do because it's kind of worked, but now I'm terrified of what might happen next.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good point around the property side and really anything you do, purpose behind decision making, making sure your assets make sense. The other piece around the investment property as well is if you just focus on, say you're in a position where you could buy an investment property when you've still got 10 years left on your mortgage, opposed to just paying off the mortgage and then waiting 10 years and then reassessing. Property values, it doubles in value every 10 years, right? So you might be missing, if you buy something for $1 million, hold it for a decade earlier, you might have another $1 million for your retirement because that's jumped in value. Now, the value in that property is not by paying off the mortgage. It helps, but the value is not paying off the mortgage. Yeah. It's really inflationary, a long-term buy and hold. And over 10 years, that property go from $1 million to $2 million.
Yeah, absolutely. So this person's reached out, 49, thinking, oh man, I probably don't have that long until retirement. So, and you talked about before about becoming mortgage free, but that not being the end of the journey, right? And I think that's what we really call the sprint. That's where you've paid off that mortgage, but you're still working. You've got all of that income coming in. And it is very tempting, James, to say, might take a little bit of a holiday here. Might put it into neutral and just coast this one out. But no, that's when you need to click it into high gear. That's when you actually really need to start saving.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've got so many examples of people who think they've come for a financial plan too late and they're like, I'm way behind, but it's amazing what you can do over a decade where you've got clear goals, you reverse engineer it, and you work out the steps. Where do I need to be in 12 months, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And really, it is just about having a good budget in place, understanding how much you need to be saving each fortnight, knocking through that mortgage. And then once you pay off the mortgage, we refer to it as you're moving to the sprint, which is pretty much whatever the mortgage repayments were plus any savings gets contributed into a managed fund. And it's amazing how quickly that can build. Because if you think about it, you're going from a position where you're paying interest to somebody else on a mortgage, which is slowly chipping away. Now we've completely flipped the tables where you are now getting interest and you're getting compounding returns and it's just chasing, running away, building momentum, which is really strong.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we'll probably wrap it up there. James, anything else you want to add?
Yeah, no, I think firstly, this person's able to articulate a few things really well. So there's quite a few things to like. I think it's just about fleshing out those goals a little bit more, making sure they're smart. So, what level of income I need, how much, when we talk about helping people, what does that look like? Where am I going to be living? What do I do? And a really smart plan around, should I be looking at investment property? When I am contributing to funds, where am I contributing to funds? KiwiSaver, what's happening over there, not just building $1 million value, but what is my contribution level? Who is my provider? What is the level of fund? So if you've got any questions like this, please send them through because we love to see them and we'll make an episode around them. Thank you very much to Partners Life for sponsoring the episode. Please make sure to subscribe, review, like, and we will see you next time.
Cheers.